and protecting the climate through actions to reduce short-lived climate pollutants.
That concludes oral questions. I call on the order of the day for the address and reply debate.
Interrupted debate on the address and reply and the amendment proposed to it.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, 5 weeks ago the government was sworn in on the 26th of October. Since then there have been hectic weeks of briefings, requesting papers and changing policy directions. And we in this government are committed to governing for the many, not the few, to ensuring economic programs uplift the mass majority and not a small elite. We are resolved to ensure that economic plans come with a responsible human face. Mr Speaker, what we have seen in contrast, of course, is a bitter party imploding on itself, knowing full well that when the fights start, that many people on the backbench will not have seen anything like it in the past, because that's what's going to happen. And when you look at the front bench of the National Party, you can see why they're no longer in government. They singularly, collectively lack the talent and the ability. And it shows when they make claims of being a dynamic opposition. We have seen dynamic oppositions in the past, led by people like Muldoon and Longy and others, but we have not seen a replication of that in this House since Parliament has come back post the election. The fact that you've got to ask 6,000 questions, 6,000 questions, suggests that after 9 years of government, you had no idea what you were doing in the first place. 6,000 questions. I think that's more questions than I've asked in my whole career. Or possibly not. And all we're getting there is a diet of cynicism and doubt, blackguarding the new government's political policies and plans, throwing cold water on vision and aspirations, and bad-mouthing the future of a country called New Zealand. It puts one in mind of that famous line in The Mikado, the idiot who praises with enthusiastic tone all centuries but this, and every country but his own. Now, there's one who especially does this. The man, his name is Winston. He waited until I was out of the country and then he attacked me. He waited until I was out of the country, halfway around the world, and he launched his personal attack. And he said I acted for the National Party when it expelled you way back in the early 90s. Funny about that, because on day one of the court case, they sought an adjournment. Their case collapsed in total. He was the legal advisor. Well, let me tell you, the greatest legal mind in the whole Commonwealth, namely himself, yours truly, from Rangitai, lines up in Rangitai 4 times in a row, and 4 times in a row the smart people of Rangitai rejected him. And so should the National Party. This is a man who made himself a QC. Didn't wait for the profession to make him a QC. No, he thought, I'll make myself one, and he's... Pardon? Oh, Is that the man from Pakuranga? Is he? Helensville. Well, he sounds as stupid. That's why I made a mistake. Oh, I see. Listen, sunshine. I can even say this.
Order.
I'll be here long after you.
Order. I'm on my feet. I think we'll have a bit of order. Thank you. That is not helpful.
It is most unhelpful when you lead with your chin. And let me tell you, do you know where...
It's not my chin.
Oh, yes, quite right. Yeah. And in this case, decidedly so. It's his chin that's the one I'm talking about. In fact, if I came from Helensville, where the last incumbent member visited about once every 6 months, I wouldn't be shouting from the treetops like that member is. Helensville is a place that's never seen an MP, and in fact the last MP there didn't know that the biggest controversy coming in the country was in his own electorate in the form of Kim.com. Kim.com had been to his office twice, and he told everybody he didn't know about it. And offshore, in comes the overseas security brigades, and there is an international raid on Kim.com's home, and his predecessor said he neither knew about it as the head of the GCSB or the head of the SIS. I hope that member's an improvement. From what I've just seen, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I want to say to that member that his colleagues sitting back with him were forewarned before the last election as to what was going to happen. I told all those members there that they're going to be in the backbench for a long, long, long time. At least he could have the decency of acknowledging a forecast and a prediction that came right, as it will. And I want to say this, that member will have to do a whole lot more about judging the lack of talent in front of him up here if he ever wants to see his party come back in government. Because this party over there is tired, the whole front bench will not last, and even now the internecine strife and the backstabbing has started. Oh yes, you can hear those knives on the grindstone. And this is not an alternative government we're looking at right now. I want to make it very clear. I want to make it very, very clear that we have plans for regional recovery, we have plans for infrastructural investment, and we have plans to restore our health and education system and its resources. As I travel around the country, and I do extensively, far more than that member there, let me say what is the most amazing comment I get. Thank God you guys turned up and made the right decision. Now, I'm a humble man. And I said to them, when I evaluated, my colleagues evaluated the alternatives, the sense of going with a conscience against a blind ideology that doesn't work was profound. And we made the right decision. And wearing a blue tie is not going to save that member now.
Is someone taking a call?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. An inspired choice thanks to my lobbying. I must say my sense of esteem for the vote